So this is some interesting information, and many of you are probably familiar with this from the Gallup organization. They've been tracking employee engagement or disengagement for decades now, and they estimate that those employees who are not engaged or actively disengaged cost the world about 7.8 trillion with a T in lost productivity. They estimate that to be north of $1 trillion here in the United States. Gallup believes that the future's top workplaces will rely on manager development. This is all going to come down to how we lead and coach the people that report to us. It's interesting that in the US and Canada, only about a third, and that number has actually, I think, dropped a little bit recently, of employees are engaged in their work. And you kind of got to ask yourself the question, like, why? So Nikki and I heard a podcast that Jim Clifton, I think he's now maybe the chairman of the CEO of Gallup. He's kind of at the end of his career, and he was sharing in this podcast how he was kind of frustrated by all the work that Gallup has put into this engagement issue in this country and the resources that they've provided. And he said, it's just sometimes it feels like CEOs don't get it. Like they don't get what they can do to fix this problem. And so he was at the office recently and he was walking down the hallway and he happened to see the person that I would kind of call their chief scientist behind all their surveys and assessments and data analysis and all of that. And he stopped just to have a conversation with the person. And he was telling them his frustration of all the money we put into this and all the work and everything. It just doesn't seem to be working. And this chief scientist said, "Oh, I can tell you how to solve that." And Clifton was like, "Well, yeah, please do." And he said, "Oh, it's just one meaningful interaction per week between an employee and a person that reports to them. One meaningful conversation a week between a supervisor and an employee." And he says that it would fix everything. So you can see why we're putting so much emphasis on this particular area of these interactions. What we call them, these leading to the one interactions. They're not all going to be formal. Some of them will be. Most of them will be very informal. We'll hit on three areas, from not just the transactional stuff of our job, but some of the relational stuff and obviously some of the developmental things that we need to be working on. There's three different parts to that. And we've laid this all out in the book for you to be able to read and start to implement yourself or within your organization.